The village of Duskmere had always been quiet, hidden between endless forests and the cold mist of the riverbanks. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where secrets were rare until the night he arrived. Damien, no one saw him enter, yet by dawn his presence was undeniable. A tall stranger in black, pale as the moonlight, with eyes so dark they seemed to drink in the world around him. He carried no belongings, yet he walked with the weight of centuries, as if time itself followed at his heels. Selene saw him first at the market square. She should have looked away. Everyone else did. They crossed the street, lowered their voices, refused to meet his gaze. But Selene's heart betrayed her. His eyes locked on hers for only a moment, but it felt like eternity. Her breath caught, her soul trembled, and a whisper, silent but undeniable, brushed against her mind. That night, Selene dreamed of him. She dreamed of walking through a forest of ash, with blood-red roses blooming from the roots of dead trees. And there, standing among the roses, was Damien waiting. When she woke, her heart still beat to the rhythm of his voice, calling her name. In the days that followed, they spoke, always at night, always in shadows. He never came when others were near. Their meetings were secret, stolen between the tolls of the village bells. His words were intoxicating. He spoke of places far beyond Duskmere, of knowledge forbidden, of love that could outlast death itself. But with every meeting came strange omens. Candles that burned black in Selene's room, ravens that circled her window in silence, shadows that stretched longer than they should, clinging to the corners of her house. She should have been afraid. She should have fled. And yet she couldn't. Her love for Damien was not a gentle flame, but a consuming fire. When he touched her hand, her skin burned with longing. When he kissed her lips, her soul drowned in the dark sweetness of his breath. She knew he was not like other men. She knew something lurked within him. And still she wanted him. The villagers began to whisper. They noticed the way Selene drifted through the days, with hollow eyes and crimson lips. They muttered of curses, of witchcraft, of spirits. An old woman even grasped Selene's wrist and hissed, "That man is no man. He is hunger wrapped in flesh." Selene laughed it off, but deep inside, a chill gnawed at her. One night, Damien finally spoke the truth, or at least part of it. "I cannot belong to you as I am," he whispered, his voice trembling against her ear, "unless you swear yourself to me, unless you bind your soul to mine." Selene's heart raced. "Bind my soul?" He nodded. His eyes glimmered, not with love alone, but with something darker. "There's a brotherhood, an ancient order. We have walked this earth since before kingdoms were born. With one oath, with one drop of blood, we can be bound forever. Do you want me, Selene? Truly want me?" Her voice trembled. "Yes, I do." And in that moment, she sealed her fate. For from the woods beyond Duskmere came a sound that night, the slow, rhythmic toll of a bell that no one had heard in 100 years. The bell of the brotherhood. The sound that marked the beginning of a love not written in heaven, but carved in blood. Selene did not know it yet, but she had stepped onto a path that would drown her world in darkness. A path where romance and horror would intertwine, where every kiss would carry the taste of death, and every heartbeat would echo like a drum in a funeral procession. And somewhere in the distance, unseen but listening, the spirit stirred. The blood oath was calling. The night Selene agreed to Damien's whispered promise, the world around her seemed to change. The air grew heavier, the shadows thicker, and every step she took toward him felt as though unseen eyes watched from the blackness. Damien told her nothing more until the moon waned to its thinnest silver crescent. Then in silence, he took her hand and led her away from Duskmere. They walked to the forest, deeper and deeper, where the trees twisted like broken ribs and the mist clung to their ankles like the hands of the dead. Selene's heart pounded. Fear clawed at her, yet desire burned hotter. Each time she looked at Damien's pale face, half hidden beneath his hood, the fear melted away, replaced by something far more dangerous, longing. At last, they reached a clearing where no bird sang, no insects hummed. In the center stood a stone altar, cracked with age, its surface etched with symbols that writhed as though alive. Around it, cloaked figures stood in a circle, their faces hidden, their eyes glowing faintly like embers in the dark. Selene froze. Who are they? Damien's voice was low, reverent. The Brotherhood. My brethren. Tonight, you must join us, or be lost in me forever. The figures began to chant, their voices rolling like distant thunder. The ground itself seemed to tremble. The symbols on the altar pulsed with red light, as though veins of blood flowed beneath the stone. Damien turned to Selene, lifting her chin with a hand that felt both tender and icy cold. Do you love me, Selene? Her lips quivered. Yes. Will you bind your life to mine, even if it means pain? Even if it means eternity in shadow? Her breath shuddered. Yes. A dagger was placed in Damien's hand. Its blade gleamed not with steel, but with a strange black shimmer, like obsidian drinking the moonlight. He pressed it gently to Selene's palm. One drop of blood, he whispered. One vow. And nothing, not death, not God, not time itself, will part us. The blade bit into her skin. A single drop of crimson welled up, falling onto the altar. The stone hissed, drinking it in greedily. The chanting rose louder, faster, until the air itself screamed. Selene gasped as fire lanced through her veins. Her vision blurred. She saw Damien's face, then behind him the faces of the cloaked figures, though some were not human at all. Hollow eyes, skeletal smiles. Creatures of shadow flickered in and out of sight, their claws scratching at the edge of reality. The blood on the altar spread, forming a symbol that glowed with unholy light. Damien cut his own palm and pressed it against hers. Their blood mingled, and with it, their souls. Selene screamed, not in pain, not entirely in ecstasy, but in something far stranger. Her heart raced, then slowed until it beat in perfect rhythm with Damien's. She felt herself falling not down but inward, into a void where whispers clawed at her ears. Welcome, child of blood. You are ours now. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying against Damien's chest. The chanting had stopped. The cloaked figures had vanished into the mist. Only the altar remained, its cracks now slick with fresh blood. Damien kissed her forehead. His voice trembled with a mix of triumph and sorrow. It is done. You are bound to me now, Selene, forever. But as his words sank into her bones, Selene's heart twisted with dread, because in the silence that followed, she swore she heard faint laughter in the trees, laughter that did not belong to Damien, nor to any human soul. And for the first time, she wondered if she had not just sworn her love, but sold her soul. Days turned into nights, and nights blurred into endless twilight. Since the ritual, Selene no longer lived as before. Sleep brought no rest, only dreams drenched in blood and whispers that clawed at her sanity. She saw things no mortal eyes should see. At first, it was only shadows moving at the edge of her vision, shapes that seemed to stretch and twist when she tried to look at them directly. Then came the voices, calling her name in Damien's tone, though he was nowhere near. But the worst was her reflection. When she gazed into mirrors, the face staring back was not always her own. Sometimes it was older, gaunt, hollow-eyed. Sometimes her skin was cracked like burned parchment, her lips sewn shut with black threads. Once, she swore her reflection grinned at her while she stood frozen, expressionless. She told Damien of her fears, but he only held her close and whispered, "It is the bond, beloved. Your soul is awakening to the eternal. Do not be afraid." Yet she was afraid. The villagers grew restless. Livestock died mysteriously, drained of blood. Children whispered of a woman in white walking the woods at night, her eyes glowing red. Old graves cracked open in the cemetery, though no bodies were missing. The villagers accused Selene of witchcraft. Stones were thrown at her door. Curses spat in the streets. But the Brotherhood protected her. Their presence was unseen, but felt. Those who threatened Selene fell silent, sometimes vanishing into the mist, never to be found again. One night, Selene woke to find Damien gone. She followed his trail into the forest, the mist curling thick around her ankles. There, hidden in a hollow grove, she found him kneeling before the cloaked Brotherhood. The stone altar was slick with fresh blood, and upon it lay the body of a villager, eyes wide with terror, throat slit from ear to ear. Selene gasped, a scream caught in her throat. But Damien turned, his hands crimson, his expression unreadable. "This is the price of eternity," he said softly. "Blood sustains us. Blood binds us. And now you too are part of this." Her heart shattered. She loved him, yet what she saw was monstrous. Still, the bond burned in her veins, tethering her to him. Even as revulsion twisted her stomach, desire and devotion chained her soul. That night, the dreams grew worse. She walked endless corridors of stone, lit by torches that bled instead of burned. In every chamber, pale figures reached out to her, whispering, "Join us, Selene! You are one of us now." At the end of the corridor, a door of bone stood waiting. Behind it, a chorus of screams. When she awoke, her hands were stained with blood. She didn't know whose. Selene tried to flee. She ran from Duskmere through the woods to the very edge of the river valley. But no matter how far she went, Damien was there, waiting in the shadows, eyes burning with both love and hunger. "You cannot leave," he told her, his voice both tender and cruel. "The oath has bound us. If you die, I die. If I die, you perish as well. We are one, Selene, body and soul." And deep inside, she felt the truth. Her heartbeat no longer belonged to her. It pulsed in rhythm with his. Her breath was not her own. It came and went with his presence. Even her thoughts felt invaded, his voice whispering where once her own mind had been free. The curse had awakened, and somewhere beyond the veil of night, ancient forces stirred. The Brotherhood's masters, entities older than men, hungering for the soul that had just been bound in blood. Selene was no longer just a woman in love. She was a vessel, a doorway, a sacrifice waiting to be claimed. The days after the curse awakened were not days at all. Selene drifted through time as if trapped in a dream she could not wake from. Her body obeyed her, but her soul felt tethered, stretched thin between two worlds. Every beat of her heart came with Damien's shadow lingering in it, but slowly doubt crept in. She began to notice things about Damien, things that before, blinded by love, she had ignored. He never spoke of his past, except in riddles. His eyes, though filled with fire, held no warmth. And every time he left her side, the night grew heavier, as though he carried with him a darkness too vast to remain hidden. One evening, driven by a gnawing unease, Selene followed him. Silent, barefoot, she crept through the woods, deeper than ever before. The mist thickened, curling like smoke, until she stumbled upon a clearing lit by dozens of candles. There, beneath the altar, she saw a sight that froze her blood, a chamber dug into the earth, hidden beneath stone. Within it, shells of parchment, bottles filled with blood, and letters, hundreds of them, all written in delicate feminine hands. Selene's trembling fingers brushed over one. The parchment was stained, the ink faded, but the words were clear enough. "My dearest Damien, I swear myself to you forever." Every letter carried the same desperate devotion, the same promise of love. Different names signed at the bottom, different women, dozens, perhaps hundreds. And then she found them, bones, piles of bones stacked neatly in the corners of the chamber, small trinkets scattered among them, rings, lockets, strands of hair tied with ribbon. Each one belonged to a woman who had once loved Damien as she did. Selene staggered back, bile rising in her throat. The truth hit her like a blade through the heart. She was not the first. She was not the only. She was one in a long, endless line of women Damien had bound with blood, only to sacrifice when their usefulness ended. Her love had been nothing but a trap. Damien appeared in the doorway, silent, watching her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes burned with something darker than passion. "You were meant to see this," he said softly. Tears streamed down Selene's face. You lied to me. You said I was the only one. You said you loved me." "I do," he whispered, stepping closer. "I love them, too. But love fades. Power endures." He reached for her, but Selene recoiled. Rage burned through her fear. Her oath-bound blood boiled in her veins, screaming for freedom. She realized then that she was not just his beloved, she was his prisoner. She fled into the woods, heart pounding, branches clawing at her skin. Behind her, Damien's voice echoed to the trees, sweet and terrible. "You cannot run, Selene. You are mine, always mine." The Brotherhood stirred in the shadows, their cloaks whispering like dead leaves. They moved to block her path, their glowing eyes following her every step. She stumbled through graves, catacombs, tunnels carved deep beneath the earth. The darkness was alive, grasping, dragging at her heels. Yet within her chest, a spark flared, a spark of defiance. If Damien thought she would end as the others had, bones at the altar of his love, he was wrong. She would not be another letter on his shelves. She would not be another name whispered in shadows. But deep inside, Selene knew breaking the oath meant death. Killing Damien would mean killing herself. And so, torn between survival and revenge, between love and horror, she prepared herself for the unthinkable. Facing him at the altar where their curse had begun, the stage was set for the final night. The storm broke on the night of Selene's return to the altar. Thunder split the heavens as rain lashed the forest, the trees groaning beneath the weight of the wind. The earth itself seemed to tremble, as though warning her to turn back. But Selene's heart no longer heeded warnings. It beat not with love, not with fear, but with fury. She carried with her the dagger, the obsidian blade that had bound her fate. Its edge pulsed faintly with dark light, whispering promises of both release and damnation. The altar stood ahead, wreathed in firelight. Damien waited, cloaked in shadows, his eyes glowing red as though the storm itself burned inside him. Around him, the Brotherhood gathered, their chants rising, their voices like the rumble of 1,000 graves opening. Selene stepped into the clearing, rain plastering her hair against her face. The sight of him, her once beloved, her eternal torment, struck her like a knife to the chest. For a heartbeat, she almost faltered. Almost. "Selene!" Damien called, his voice breaking through the storm. "You came back to me." "No," she whispered, gripping the dagger tighter. "I came to end you." A flicker of sorrow crossed his face, but it vanished, replaced by hunger. He spread his arms wide, welcoming her. "You cannot end me. We are one. Strike me down and you will follow. Our bond is eternal." Selene's tears mixed with the rain. "Then so be it." The Brotherhood surged forward, shadows stretching like claws, but Selene moved with strength she did not know she had. The bond that had enslaved her now lent her power, Damien's own essence flowing through her veins. She carved through the shadows, every strike of the dagger tearing shrieks from the night. At last she reached him. Damien did not fight. He only looked at her, his expression both pleading and proud. "You will never escape me," he whispered. "Even in death, you will be mine." Selene raised the dagger high. "Then I'll see you in hell." The blade sank into his chest. Damien gasped, eyes widening in shock and something deeper, betrayal. His blood, black and burning, spilled over her hands, searing her skin. And then, as his body crumpled, Selene felt it, her own heart tearing open, her own lifeblood pouring out, invisible but unstoppable. They fell together onto the altar, blood mingling once more. The storm screamed as lightning struck the stone, splitting it in two. The Brotherhood wailed, their forms unraveling into smoke as the bond shattered. Selene clutched Damien's fading body, her vision blurring. For a moment, she saw him as he had been in her first dream, standing among blood-red roses, smiling, beautiful, human. For a moment, she remembered love. Then everything went dark. When the storm passed, the altar stood empty. No trace of Damien, no trace of Selene. Only the cracked stone, slick with rain and blood. But Duskmere did not find peace. For nights after, villagers whispered of a woman in black, wandering the woods, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Some swore she wept, others swore she laughed. And sometimes, in the dead of night, lovers claimed to hear a voice whispering from the shadows, "Love me, bind yourself to me forever." And so the curse lived on. The blood oath was never broken. It had only changed hands.